Let's see, what kind of intro should we do?
There once was a man named Gold Roger, who was king of the pirates.
Hello, my name is Will, and I have here with me Joe, and we decided to do a podcast. And what's called Your Hero, Our Hero, not Your Hero, that's the thing you're doing.
No. Your Hero Academia is the story that you've just loved following for torture purposes for like, what, the last 6 years or something?
Oh my word, has it been that long?
Yes, because I started doing that story before my son was born. And that's, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joe, otherwise known as Mataras on sites like fanfiction.net, and are you on Wattpad as well, or...?
No, I'm not on Wattpad, but I am on AO3.
AO3. So fanfiction.net and AO3, he has been writing a story for the past 6 years titled Your Hero Academia,
6 years, I think.
Which is basically a rewrite of the entire series, but with his original character, who I love to hate on so much. I'm like, if there's 100 haters in the world, I'm one of them. If there's 10 haters in the world, I'm one of them. If there's one hater, I'm him. And if there's no haters of Kai, then I am dead.
No, if there's 100 haters in the world, he's all of them.
One of them I just become twice, where I do the stupid hand motion thing that I'm butchering right here.
The Shadow Clone Jutsu.
But yeah, so he's been writing this for like 6 years, called Your Hero Academia. I'll put a link to it in the description of this video, just in case.
I appreciate that.
But it's a very, 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 very long story. But if you have nothing else,
you're gonna be on for a ride if you decide to commit to it.
Not only are there a lot of chapters, it's like split into like 6 or 7 books right now.
Oh, so we're on 8. We're on book 8, and there's gonna be 10 in total.
Oh wow, okay, but like each chapter is like 20, 30 pages long, so you'd be in for like
no, that's not true until like the most like. There's like 2 instances where that's true in books 4 and 6, and then the latest one's 7. Like, yeah, the last half is like 20, 30 page chapters. Yeah. Because there's a lot happening, and I realize that I may have made some mistakes there, but hey, it's part of a learning process.
Sure. Post-production will put a picture of his main character, Kai, on screen, and now have something absolutely awful happening to it. I don't know. Figure something out. Just do something. So my name is Will. I have here Joe. This is Our Hero Academia, a podcast where we basically go over the entire series of My Hero Academia ever since it finished a couple months ago, and we're going to break it down, see if it aged well, what works, what doesn't, and just do a collective review that takes both into consideration the show when it first aired and the show now, since like we have like all of this context and perspective. And
fair warning to the viewers, there will be spoilers all the way up to the conclusion, season 8, as well as some undisclosed manga material. But I'll try and keep that to a minimum.
But so yeah, this episode we're just going to be going over season 1, since it is the second shortest season aside from the final season. Second shortest, but season 1. I'm just going to start off. It's probably the single best season of My Hero Academia, in my humble opinion.
Really?
Starting off strong.
Really?
Starting off strong.
Oh, it started off really strong. I don't know that I would go ahead and call it the strongest season, though. I will definitely agree that this thing starts off like swinging for the fences, and it's home run after home run.
Oh yeah, it is one of the best put together first seasons in an anime, period. And that's saying something. Because I like a lot of anime, but to say that an entire first season is like darn near perfect is a really difficult thing to achieve. I mean, I start off with a strong statement, but do you have anything to...
Here's another strong statement I'll give you. My Hero Academia, along with a couple other anime, is actually the primary reason why I got a Funimation subscription back in the day.
Okay.
Right? Then Funimation and Crunchyroll merged together, so I switched over there. But like back in the day, I was trying to decide. I was like, is it worth it getting a subscription? And I decided I liked My Hero Academia enough to where I'm like, yeah, you know what? I want to watch this as it comes out, and I want to watch these other shows as they come out also. Fairy Tail was another one, and then Sword Art was kind of on a hiatus when I got the subscription, but it resumed later on.
I'm gonna be honest, I can't remember how I watched My Hero Academia when it first came out, because when I was 15 years old when it first aired, which is shocker. That was 11 years ago almost, which is crazy to think about.
So I was 19. I was 19 when it first came out.
Wow.
But here's the thing. I actually didn't start watching it until second season was almost over. It was my youngest brother who actually recommended me to it.
I know I watched it when it first came out, but I want to say that it was through a legally purchased subscription to a legally purchased streaming site. But in all seriousness, I think it was shown to me by my older brother, who then showed me said legally purchased streaming site, which I'm not going to specify, or else the ninjas will come after me. But with that being said, I remember even just like watching it and thinking, oh my word, this is a really good... And mind you, this is like when superhero stuff was at its peak. I think like Civil War had just came out. One of the things that I remember the most about season 1 is the opening. It has one of my personal favorite anime openings, period. And that's in terms of song, in terms of lyrics, in terms of
like replayability in the car.
Exactly. It's just so good. And
I
think that in my opinion, maybe my opinion will change because we're basically watching through the series as we go. So we just watched season 1. After we record this, we're gonna like sit down and watch season 2 separately. And then we're gonna like write some notes and then go over it. So we're going it by season. So as of now, I've most recently watched season 1, and Joe has also most watched season 1. So maybe my opinion will change the more I watch. But as of now, my memory states that this is my favorite anime opening at the bare minimum in My Hero show proper. Like it's just that good. I don't know what you think, but
so hot take probably for me.
Okay.
The Day, at least to me, is not the best opening. It's second place. It's a really close second. It's a really, really close second. Like I had to sit and think about it for a minute. I actually have my list of I already have my list all set out. Like, okay, this is the best opening, and we go down, and this one's the worst opening.
Okay. Yeah. Because
we'll go through that as we do this series. But yeah, I really had to sit and think about that. I'm like, I wanted to give The Day the #1 spot, but I felt like it was, at least for me, more based on nostalgia than the actual music and the visual opening and the visual credits and all that.
Okay.
So, like I said, this season opens up with a banger. It's swinging for the fences. The home run is way out of the park. It's a great opening sequence in terms of visuals and sound, but just shy. It is not #1 for me.
Here's my case for it, because I know what I mentioned about the song, but in terms of like someone who's trying to get into film proper, the way that it's shot and the way that the shots work on themselves, like with the notebooks that right behind Deku.
Oh yeah, I love that.
The side by side with him and Bakugo, that from them as kids, and then them back to back like as adults, or not adults.
Well, this teenagers. This is the ongoing prologue of the story, right? That's what sets it apart. That's what sets this opening apart from the other ones. Is like this, like yes, it shows some of what's happening right now, but a lot of it is meant to like hook you in and give you reason to be invested in these characters. And part of that is that it's a visual prologue without actually giving you dialogue.
Yeah, I will say
to tell you what's going on in these characters' past.
Sure, I will say I remember the first time I saw that opening and the ending screen with like all the students in All Might. One of my very faint memories as a kid is being like, and with someone who had not seen any of the show and only seen the OP, I'm like, is that superhero guy like sending children out to go fight battles with like how he's like pointing out? That's like, because I didn't know anything. It was just like,
that's funny.
That's what my 15-year-old Will thought of.
I remember what my brother said to get me into this show.
Yeah.
He was like, because the second Incredibles movie had come out.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, you know how at the end of the Incredibles movie, like superheroes are like, you know, legal again, and you know they can get paid to do their job. I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, it's like that, but there's a lot of them.
Oh.
I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, and there's a really interesting version of Superman. I was like me personally, I'm like, I like Superman.
Yeah.
And again, probably a hot take. I quite like Henry Cavill's Superman. I don't know what that says about me, but I enjoyed his films.
Confession time.
I enjoyed his films.
Any of the Man of Steel movies. I probably should at some point, but I haven't gotten around to actually. I've seen clips, but I need to sit down and watch them at some point. So I have a lot of thoughts about All Might, which I'll get to. But starting off, I just want to say that in terms of like episodes themselves, it has one of the best 2-part opening episodes, pilot episodes in anime. It's just so well done because like I could go on and on about it. Like the world building quirks are very well established with with at the same time plenty of room for growth and explanations in the future. But it gives you just enough to like, okay, I understand this world. I know what works and what doesn't, and I know what everyone's deal is.
This is how things are supposed to go.
And then it. Oh man, I'm running out of words now. It's just so good.
No. So one of the notes that I took while I was watching episode 1 is that one of the things I love about and you called it a 2-part opening. And that's very important because I think that's the perfect way to describe it, because the first episode ends with a question that is ultimately answered in full throughout the course of the series. Yeah. We get the answer at the end of it. It's like, can someone like me be a hero like you without a quirk?
Yeah, that's a...
Short answer is yes, but you need the
long answer is How I Met Your Mother's worth of... Let me tell you, kids, about how I got the quirk and became the #1 hero. It's just the...
Oh my goodness. Goodness.
It's such a good opening, and that's a great point as well. That it's basically just like the entire series is just an answer to that question. I never thought about it like that. And I wrote this down. I really like Deku as a protagonist, and there's a couple and he's not even like a typical shonen protag, because
no, not at all.
One of the things that I really like and this is answered in like basically the entire first 3 or 4 episodes, but he starts off with just wanting to be a hero. Like, he's not even aiming to be the best hero or a great hero, because like he's like, oh, Kachan, I don't want to compete with you. He just wants to be a hero. And like even like with his backstory, like even not having a quirk and wanting to become a hero, we even see like in that classroom scene, I just want to become a hero. And he only wants to become a great hero like All Might when he has that expectation put on him by his idol. It's only then, it's like, and it's not even for himself. It's because he wants to live up to his hero that it's like, oh, hey, if he's expecting this of me, then I better be as good of a hero as him. But he just wants to be a hero, which is, I think, one of the best singular motivation. He's not trying to be the Hokage. He's not trying to be the king of the pirates. He's not trying to be the very best like no one ever was. He just wants to be something, which I really like as a starting protagonist. Yeah, so I'll give you a small correction on that, though. You're right. He's not aiming to be #1 from the beginning until All Might more or less puts that expectation on him. But he says that he wants to be a hero like All Might. He's like, I want to save people, and I want them to feel safe when they see my smile. Sure. Right, that's what he says. Let's be any hero can do that technically. I'm not saying that he can't aspire to be like All Might, but it's a significantly lower bar for himself. This is true. One of the things that I do like is that, when his classmates are all laughing at him, they're like, you can't get into school without a quirk. He's like, no, they actually got rid of that rule. Yeah. He's like, I could be the first one. Right, and then Bakugo starts blowing stuff up, and Bakugo being Bakugo. But it does introduce the idea of a possible quirkless hero. Yeah. Right? So this isn't something that they throw at us out of left field at the very end of the series, right? No, this idea has been in there for a while, and it's not even just him who might have said it. This is something that it's like, oh, okay, this isn't just open to Deku because he's special. There's the potential that we could see other quirkless heroes. But then honestly, like, if I had gone into that show completely like, I knew a little bit, like, I knew that Deku was going to get All Might's power, but that was honestly like the only thing I knew about the show itself going into it. I honestly would have thought that he would have got in basically as Batman, but less violent. That would have been interesting. But we get to see that's in kind of Vigilante, which is something that we're gonna maybe talk about in the future, but we're not gonna talk about now. But that was an interesting point. How he could basically be the Saitama for all intents and purposes of My Hero. Right. But and then one last, because like we've talked about the first 2 episodes quite extensively, I do want to throw out that there's 2 moments in this series that everyone acknowledges are the best, but there is one specific moment that I always go back to just to rewatch on its own, and that's his rescue of Bakugo from the sludge villain. Everything about that moment, and granted, a lot of this can be attributed to the manga, I'll admit that, but there are a lot of things that cannot be attributed to the manga. Everything about it, from the shots to the angles to the camera dynamics, to the music. The music is Yuki Hayashi is one of the best. I am convinced that Yuki Hayashi is like 40% of the reason why My Hero Academia got as popular as it did. There's this one of my film professors, like when I was going to school, said like music can make or break a project. My Hero is living proof of that. Because I guarantee this scene would not be nearly as effective without the music, but the scene itself, the way it's shot, and every single freeze frame of like the characters' faces. And I watched this show in English dub. I know people who watch our sub viewers are going to hate me for watching this, but
I do the same thing, so they're going to hate both of us.
Okay, great. So we can be hated together.
Yeah.
Please don't leave the video, I promise. But yeah, no, I love the dub, and I love the voice acting here specifically. But I do want to throw out that this... Sorry, go ahead.
You finish your thought. I've got a couple of thoughts on these first couple episodes.
But yeah, no, this specific... I mean, yeah, there's like the later scene like where he says like, you too can be a hero, which is a great scene. But before we talk about that scene, I just want... This is like the one scene where I keep going back to rewatch and analyze and just enjoy. And there have been moments, like, depending on like how I'm feeling emotionally in the moment when I'm watching it, it makes me cry. I'm not afraid to admit that. It unironically makes me cry if I'm like in the right emotional
This
state.
show has made me cry. Not there, but I can see how that could happen.
But that's the first scene that made me realize, oh man, this show is gonna be something special. Like, and a lot of shows have that. For One Piece, it's like the Nami scene. For Sword Art Online, it's the if you die in the game, you die for real. I mean, I know everyone hates it, but that's like a perfect first episode, just unironically. But my point is, there's always that one scene where you know a show is going to be special, and for me, it's that scene specifically. So
okay, so all right, so I have a couple of notes on the first couple episodes before we move on, mostly to do with the voice actors. So Clifford Chapman, right?
Yeah.
This guy's the MVP. This guy's the MVP of the My Hero Academia dub.
No argument.
This guy knows where it is. Well, fast forward just a little bit. Did you know that he just about fainted 5 times recording for his fight against All For One at the end?
No, I didn't. But that makes way too much sense.
Yeah, like he was like, and you can see it too. Sorry, you can't. Like you can hear it too. Like he's about to go out on some of those takes.
Yeah.
And then when he did the second movie, he blew out his vocal cords so bad that he couldn't talk for 3 days.
Oh my word, that's crazy.
Yeah, he would like that man is committed. But one of the things I want to address here is this guy does a phenomenal job at aging his voice or de-aging it. Right?
Yeah.
Because middle school Bakugo sounds very different from high school Bakugo.
I did notice
like
that.
Still sounds like Bakugo. When I first watched, it wasn't this time, but like I had gone back and watched season 1. This was a couple years ago, and I was like, is something wrong with my audio? Like, why does Bakugo sound this way? And then I got to the high school. I was like, oh, he's aging. I was like, okay, so his voice isn't as developed here, and it would be later. Yeah, no, I was like, most of the other voice actors didn't commit like that.
Yeah,
like, not to say they weren't good, but like even Justin Brighter, like great voice actor, he didn't do a voice shift until like season 6, like when Deku's traumatized. Like then he did a really good voice shift.
Yeah, that was a good.
But
that was what the story necessitated. But yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Like I feel like he maybe could have done it better here in season 1, but it wasn't so much that it took me out of it.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I wanted to touch on was Chris Sabat's performance. I don't know if you noticed this, but in episode 1 versus episode 2, his All Might sounds very different.
I did notice that there was like a slight difference in the vocal change, but nothing that was.
Do you want to know what? It wasn't too drastic, but I think I zeroed in on what it was.
Okay.
So what it is he sounds more strained in the first episode. And I was wondering, it's like, okay, was he sick when he recorded it? He wasn't. So my running theory, if I ever get to meet him, I'd love to ask him about this. Sure. But my running theory is that, you know, a lot of these actors will watch the Japanese dub to kind of get a feel for like, okay, this is the cadence of the character. Like, this is how they carry themselves. This is how they project, so on and so forth. Yeah. If you watch the Japanese version, this is one of the reasons why I prefer the English dub to the Japanese version, is because in English, All Might's voice sounds like it's described by others, like it's this booming echo, like you feel the power of his voice, you feel the power of his presence just by the way he talks. The Japanese one, he sounds a lot more strained in being All Might, right? Which I don't know if that's just like my not understanding like the language and its intonations and all that, or if the Japanese actor was playing more into the fact that like, yeah, he's stressing to be All Might, he's pushing himself to be All Might.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
So I don't know if that's what it's leading to, but what it sounded like to me in the first episode was that Sabat was trying to emulate that type of energy. Like he was trying to emulate the stress of being All Might.
Yeah, no,
but from episode 2 and onward, he sounds like he does pretty much through the rest of the series.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, very last thing I want to mention about the 2-part pilot before moving on. this isn't like a major thing, but it was something because I did go back and like read the manga for a bit. Just like I didn't want to like have it. I wanted to focus on the anime specifically, but I did want to go back and read the manga. And there was one little anime change that I didn't notice, but that scene right before Deku is captured by the sludge villain the first time. In the manga, he's just like, I'm going to keep my head held high and I'll be a hero no matter what. And then the sludge villain attacks him in the manga. One thing the anime just did was include that thing where he's walking away and imitating All Might's laugh, where he's going,
That's a great addition.
That is an anime
That's a great
exclusive.
addition.
Yeah, it's a great
That's a great addition. So, my closing thought on episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
There's two lines that absolutely kill me for different reasons. So,
Sure.
I forgot how funny My Hero Academia was in the first season.
Yeah.
Like, just genuinely, it kept making me laugh. Justin Briner's delivery of "back to giving up on my dreams" is gold.
Back to giving
He's just like, well, back to giving up on my dreams.
He's just like me, for real.
Oh, I'm like, we've all been there, buddy. We've all been
trying
there.
to get
and
into
the other
film
one,
industry.
the other one, "You too can become a hero." That was the line that had me locked in for life. Like, I wrote this down.
Yeah.
Like, the equivalent would be like along the lines of either J.R.R. Tolkien or George Lucas telling me that I could be an author.
Yeah, no, that's a peak line right there.
Like, that's the level that hit. Like, that's the level that would hit me.
Yeah, that was a great. Again, second greatest scene in the entire first season for me. And one last note, because you talked about that scene, I love Deku's reaction because anyone can just cry, but it's so emotionally visceral that
it's visceral.
It's very hard to replicate, and so I think that was like a great way to end the first, the two-parter pilot.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, moving on. The next few episodes, I don't have a whole lot of notes on at least not as much as the pilot, because there's just so much to talk about for the pilot. I like the training section, the cleaning up the beach.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not something you see a whole lot in shonen. It's usually like him like trying to like pulling weights or doing like the classical dojo, like almost like Punch Out in a sense. But I did really like the way that they structured this. It's like, oh yeah, being a hero is also about community service. That was just a great little
It was
like a very minor thing,
But it's important. But it is important.
It is. It's very.
It is important. It's like All Might's like, no, being a hero is about more than just taking out the bad guys. It's like let's actually do good for the community, you know?
Yeah. And then
let's start with the basics.
And then introduce my other favorite song in the series, Hero A, which is just like,
that's a great one.
Song. It's just like, I mean, it comes up so frequently, but it's just like a different version of "You Say Run" if you want to get technical. But it's just a good montage
there's
song.
Themes of it. It's not a different version of the song, but there's similar strains in it.
Yeah.
Yes. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah.
Nice.
One of the notes that I had for that episode was like, apparently Justin Briner has no limit on the amount of air he can exhale in one breath.
Yeah, that's
the man, like there's like what, like in that first, like when he first finds out about One for All, and he's like doing the like whole muttering thing. There was one part where there's a slight audio slice because he would have had to draw the breath in, and the character wasn't supposed to.
Oh my word!
He did like 2/3. He did like 2/3 of that in one exhale.
That's crazy. I have to go back
and you
see
can
that
tell
scene specifically.
if you go back and listen to it, and you can tell like by the way that his voice is like slowly starting to get more strained and strained. And then there's like on the last sentence, it kind of resets.
Yeah.
Right, but you don't hear the breath in between, so they would have cut that out.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, this guy's going for like a good 30 seconds and not breathing in. I'm like, they got the right guy for Tokyo.
Yeah. And then after that, we have basically the entire entrance exam, which is, this is one of the few, I mean, it's a great scene, and I would say that it's probably one of the, actually, no, I take that back. I can't even say it's one of the weaker moments, because it's really well done. But, like, conceptually, looking back on the series as a whole, and they do call this out with, like, the entire Shinji in Season 6, but at the same time, I feel like just taking down robots is a bit too narrow-minded, and I get that that's the point.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's kind of what gave rise to Aizawa.
Yeah,
being the way that he is, and like that's part of what makes him an effective teacher, because he looks beyond the obvious.
But my point is that
one thing I wanted.
Sorry, go ahead.
sorry, one thing I wanted to touch on, like as an artist in particular, they did a really good job at aging Deku. Well, like no, like when he was in middle school, he's like he's this very round face, very charming little boy. There are not a lot of shows that do that well. Like there's like, okay, there's kid, teenager, adult, and those are the three models they have. They don't have anything in between. This show, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and Naruto, are very, very good at aging their characters very subtly. Like to the point where you don't even notice happening until you've seen the whole series and you're going back and you're looking at this like, wait, they look like this here? Like, that's how you know that the artists are putting in an extra amount of effort and really paying attention. Is like, yeah, you know, it's gradual for us. Yeah. And that's one of the attentions to detail that I really love about the show.
Yeah. But, and then the hero exam is really good because it's, if it was any other anime, it'd probably been like 2 or 3 episodes. But no, it's like here's the point. Here's Deku's struggling even getting a point because it's a very competitive school. And then it just has one of the best moments of, not only with Deku's character, but of showing that he doesn't immediately get everything he wants. Because that first display of One for All is probably one of the best moments of displaying a shonen protagonist's power. Because one, it shows how powerful it is. And 2, it shows how powerful it is on his body. So I do think that that's actually a really excellent way of showing a protagonist's power, but while also showing like, hey, he can't go all out or else he's literally a dead man. So. Yeah,
and like to fast forward to season 8, like I don't know if you like I don't know if you noticed this or not, but the shot that they use, it's the same. It's the same one.
It's the
so there's two.
Shot.
So there's 2 things I want to note. The visual parallels are awesome. That wasn't in the manga. The whole like wind up of him. That was like, animated. That was the anime deciding that.
Absolute.
Which I was like, that's a absolute. I was like, that was an excellent choice. That was an excellent choice. Yeah. That was a great choice. There's 2 other things I want to touch on. Both have to do with Uraraka real quick.
Oh yeah, sure, of course.
Their first interaction is adorable. I love Uraraka. She's a great character. She's adorable. She's adorable. The 2 of them interacting, I love it. I love watching it. They're so cute. But here's something thematically that's super, super important.
Sure.
And this is consistent across the manga also. I went ahead and I double checked this. I locked it in. This is what happened. The first time that Deku uses One for All on screen, or the first time, he uses it at all, was to save Uraraka. The last time he uses it on screen or in a comic panel was to save Uraraka.
Yeah. Oh!
You didn't notice that.
No, I did.
Because in that last episode, when they go and save that kid that's like on the verge of turning into a villain, he's just running normally. He's not using One for All.
Yeah. No, that's...
And they did that they did that deliberately. Just a general note of the show is that most animes have like 1 or 2 girls that are really cool, and then the rest of them are like, if they're not just downright terrible, they're meant to make the main girl look a lot better.
Yeah, they're like just kind of like useless for the most part, which is unfortunate for shonen all the girls in general, but
all the girls in Class 1A can carry their own arcs.
Yeah, no, and that's
there's nothing like costume aesthetics aside, because I have some problems with those.
I have some notes about
personality-wise. I don't have a problem with any of them.
Yeah, I will say in the first season specifically, a majority of Class 1A is extremely forgettable, and the reason I say that, because like there's not the most character they get is either talking with All Might while watching Deku and Bakugo's fight, or having their own fights either in the training or even in the USJ arc, which we'll get to,
and they don't get a whole lot of dialogue during those for the most part.
The only ones who really get characters are Araka and Ida. Back when Horikoshi was setting them up to be the Golden Trio, before he's like, hey, you know, it'd be even better having the 3 most overpowered students be the trio instead of like having the ones with the most interesting dynamic.
I would argue the fact that as the series goes on, Deku, Todoroki, and Bakugo do end up having a pretty dang interesting dynamic.
Yeah, but let's be honest, we were all hoping that it would be Uraraka and Ida who would stick it out for the most part.
For a while I
thought, present, but
honestly, I never thought that Uraraka was going to be a top 3. I never thought that.
Really?
I thought it would for a while there. So like when I first watched, I watched season 1 and 2.
Sure.
Right. I think I got up to the episode where they finish their exams, and then like the next episode I watched was where they go to the shopping mall.
Sure.
But in watching it in that way, my honest thought was that I couldn't tell if he was gonna make Bakugo, Todoroki, and Deku the big three, or if it was gonna be Ida, Todoroki, and Deku.
Yeah. I
couldn't like that was the toss up for me.
I do want to say I just have written in bold here in my notes. How in the freaking heck does Mineta get some of the most characterization in the entire class this season? I just have that written down in my notes in bold. Is there anything else we need to tackle before we did we'll talk about the USJ.
Oh, I do want to talk about Present Mike and Aizawa because they both have different voice actors.
Yeah, and I didn't notice that
in
until
season
I
one.
It.
I don't know what else Present Mike's voice actor has done, but I recognized Aizawa. He's still with Crunchyroll. I don't know why he didn't continue his role as Aizawa. I thought he was fine at I thought he was fine as Aizawa.
The reason he didn't continue with Aizawa is because I think it was just that he wanted to do other things, or he wanted to do another specific project, and that would require him dropping this role.
Present Mike, on the other hand, I'm glad they changed his voice actor because the first guy sounds congested as all get out.
Yeah, he sounds kind of like, I remember seeing like, all right, thanks for calling in with your request, which is...
He's doing too much head voice. The next guy, he's able to do it from down here. He's able to do it down from the diaphragm like a musician should and would do.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
I do
the first guy's like I
voice,
said, he sounds like he's got plugs up his nose. He sounds like he's got plugs up his nose. Yeah, I feel bad like portraying it that way because I'm sure the guy was doing his best, but I'm sorry, season 2 Mike and onward, just way better.
The next big thing is the duel between Bakugo and Ida versus Deku and Uraraka. And let me just say it, I know that this is not a uncommon opinion, but Deku's Phase 1 costume is just so stupid.
Wait a minute, we totally skipped over the quirk assessment episode where we meet Aizawa.
Let's talk.
Dude, what are you doing? We talked about Aizawa's voice actor. We talked about the man, the myth, the legend. Come on.
Post production will throw in a rewind time. Do the Yoshikage Kira.
Yeah, no, this is actually an important episode for, like, even though you said it, like, we don't get a whole lot of characterization, but this is an episode where we actually get introduced to half the cast and a lot of their quirks.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
So I like that. So I honestly prefer this way of doing things. I like that they didn't give everybody characters all at once because at this point the main focus is on Deku.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody else becomes important as the story unfolds, but it's not about them yet.
Yeah, I do appreciate that.
So they, if you try to put too many people in all at once, you overwhelm the reader, you overwhelm the viewer. It's like, okay, who am I supposed to be keeping track of?
Yeah.
And then because you're trying to keep track of so much all at once, you end up losing what could be important details later on. So the way that they do it, kind of by like a slow osmosis type, is actually the way I prefer.
And that's a big problem I have with for either the second half of season 5 or the first half of season 6. I can't remember which one it is. We'll get to that on a later podcast episode, but I do know exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, the quirk assessment test is, again, one of the best mentor introductions because Aizawa is probably one of my favorite anime mentors in, well, just anime, period. He's just... And granted, I haven't watched anything like Naruto, or I would like to watch One Piece.
He is very... So, Aizawa has a lot of similarities to Kakashi, but he is also... But he is very much his own character also.
Yeah, no, he's a great introduction, and he is probably one of my favorite quirks in the entire series, because it's... It's literally just the Uno reverse card. I mean... Or no, not even Uno reverse, just skip your turn.
Yeah, Uno skip. Yeah, it's a skip.
Uno skip. I'm gonna play again. Oops, skip.
He's gonna keep skipping until he hits you with the +4.
Yeah, and then it gets to someone else who he skips to, but then like, hey, I'm gonna skip you, Aizawa, and we'll get to that in the later this episode. But no, he's so good, and I love his character design's just great. I love his scarf, which is just kind of like a Batman tool. It feels like where it's just like a grapple hook, and again, his little fake out, because like it's talked about like you were completely planning on expelling
I actually wanted to
someone.
talk about that. In a moment, but so I actually got to meet Aizawa's voice actor. I had him sign a couple of pieces.
Oh, he's so cool.
Yeah, I had him sign a couple of pieces. I'll send you one of the pieces that he signed, so that way you can put it up in post. But
sure,
yeah,
definitely.
it's an image where there's a lot of characters from My Hero Academia. My goal is to eventually like have all the signatures of the characters that are on it.
That's awesome. Cool.
So I've only gotten a couple so far, but you know that's the goal.
Sure.
But I actually want to talk about his fake out because this is actually an interesting character defining moment that we have for Yaoyorozu that a lot of people glaze over. Because she's like, oh, you guys didn't figure out that he was faking us out? Like, sorry, I guess I should have said something. Right? And they're like, yeah, you should have said something. She did say that. And that's what's interesting to me, is that shortly after, we find out that she was one of the recommendation students. So she is, books-wise, she has to be very intelligent. And her quirk has to be awesome, which it is.
Yeah.
But we show her naivete.
Yeah,
we show her naivete very early on.
It's revealed like
and that is a prevailing problem for her all the way through season 2 until she has her exam alongside Todoroki against Aizawa.
Yeah.
And after that, you know, things start to change for her character a little bit. But I thought it was interesting. It's like, this is, when you go back and look at it from having seen the whole thing, it's like she's not as smart as, she's not actually as street smart as she thinks she is. One last thing on that.
Sure.
It shows us something about Bakugo. It shows us that he's not just it's like, yes, he's arrogant, he's a jerk, his personality sucks, but he's not just superpowered. He's smart.
And
he knows how to use his quirk. He knows exactly how to use his quirk. He knows exactly how to use his quirk in order to achieve the best results in each test.
One last thing, just because you brought it up, I do think that one of the most interesting things in this season is Bakugo's progression and regression. And the reason I say that is because, like, in the pilot, it shows him being mean to Deku. Then by the end of that, it's like, Deku, I don't owe you anything. And then just kind of like, Deku even says like, oh yeah, he's been kind of like less mean to me recently. And then he sees that Deku has this quirk, which he's never seen before. He's like, and he goes back, he's like, you're a piece of garbage, you tool, you person who exists. Like, I don't like to swear, so I'm just gonna avoid swearing. And then we see that regress even more in perfect segue to Deku versus Bakugo, which we have not yet tackled. But yeah, no, it's a great fight, and it's really interesting because we see them go. Well, we see Bakugo go all out, and we see Deku go as all out as he could. But we see something in Deku, that I kind of wish we see. We do see this in tandem in a handful of areas here and there, but we see him as like the analytical type. And we don't see that a whole lot in the later seasons. But like in season 6 and 8, there are some specific moments which we'll bring up when we get to that. But generally speaking,
I think in later seasons, what it is like he doesn't need. It's a show of his growth as much as basically like he doesn't need to stand there and think about it. He sees stuff, he extrapolates, and he doesn't need to think about it anymore. He can just react to it, which is what Night Eye was telling him to do in season 4, essentially.
That's a good point.
Something that I want to. Yeah, so something I want to touch on is where he says Deku is now the name of a hero. We need to touch back on that real quick because this is something that unfortunately gets lost in translation big time in English.
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
So Uraraka in the Japanese version, she has a hick accent, essentially.
Yeah, well,
like to us it would be like so for us it'd be like someone who sounds like they're incredibly from the Midwest.
Like something like this, y'all. I'm probably just offending every Midwest person exists.
That's wild. No, I'm like my family's from the Midwest, so I'm like that's kind of what I have in my head. So she doesn't so she thought that Bakugo was saying the word dekiru, which is a slang word for you can do it.
And then
or it gives you like kind of gives you like a can do. It's like a term of encouragement.
Yeah. Like
kind of gives you can do vibes type of thing.
Whereas Bakugo is like saying Dekunobu, which means good for nothing, right? I think.
Good for nothing. Yeah. So, but I love again. That's one of the things I love about her character is that she took that name that hurt him so many times, and he was able to associate with something positive. It's like this is someone who believes in him.
Yeah. That is,
and who believes that he can do something with it.
I do love that detail now that you mentioned, because that is unfortunately lost in translation. I did not know that until
and like there's no way for them to get around that either.
Years later, until like looking up.
Yeah, like and like it's an unfortunate failing of the English language that there's no way for them to properly like. You can't translate Deku. Like the best thing that they do with Deku is in season 4 when Deku tells his hero name to Lemillion, and Lemillion's like, wait, Deku, like Deck? Yep. Okay.
Where's your deck?
Where's your deck?
Like that's the only joke they can make out of it.
Yeah.
Like
no,
in
that's
English.
that's a great bit. And
yeah.
But yeah, no. So their fight is awesome, and I love how it's split up between him and Bakugo, which is a lot more intense, but then also Ochako and Ida, which granted is very, very low stakes comparatively speaking, and not a whole lot happens.
But it's funny.
It is.
It's funny. I enjoy it. It
fell
made me
for the
giggle.
classic blunder. The most well-known is never get involved in a land war with Asia, but only slightly lesser well-known is don't use your quirk when there's nothing to use your quirk on. Oh man.
But this does show something. So this does show something about Ida though. When you contrast to Yaoyorozu, because he had some street smarts, right? He's not like obviously he's very bookish, but he thought it through. He's like, okay, Bakugo gave me the short end of the stick here. This is not how this should be going, but I'm gonna look at my surroundings and I'm gonna do what I can on my end to make sure that this doesn't go the way the heroes need it to go. So he takes away every opportunity for Uraraka to use her quirk against him in an offensive capacity. In the brief montage, we see Yaoyorozu. Granted, we only see her for like 3 seconds, and she's having to deal with Mineta. But you see that she's pretty much relying solely on her quirk to set up defenses. Like she's not really taking stock of her surroundings or anything. And again, this could be a failing of the fact that we only saw her for a few seconds during her portion of that exercise. But I thought this was an interesting thing to bring up because we see Ida's smarts versus hers.
There is one last thing that I kind of want to throw out, and this is just kind of... This isn't specific to My Hero. It's just kind of a thing with anime, period. But the fact that they go out of their way to say that this is the real world and people have just essentially evolved genetically, and Bakugo is just like throwing out an explosive that's like worth like several C4s. And Deku, like, he's like, hey, just
Deku
dodge
just tanks it.
Like, that's not how explosives
he'll be fine as long as he dodges.
And then All Might's like, you know what, this is fine. I can keep the fight going. This is fine.
Right. Although, to be fair, Bakugo did do us one of the biggest favors in the entire series and obliterated Costume Alpha.
Oh, yeah, because, like, that costume... Like, I love how it wasn't even, like, survived... like the first second of the fight. Like he throws like one explosion to the wall and the costume's torn. Like yes, this costume is like stupid.
I had a note in here where it's just like, it's kind of cool the idea of letting the kids design at least parts of their own costume, but it shows in some cases.
They are not fashion designers.
It shows in some cases, like Deku and Mineta. That episode, real quick, is the first time that Deku names a super move. It's the Detroit Smash, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Like, this one, he was like, no, he knew exactly which move he was going to use.
Yeah, and then I also love how they throw out that at the end, like, yeah, this was ultimately like a terrible strategy all around. Because it shows that they win, but they don't have a good victory objectively. Like, they show, like, this is literally their first class in hero school. They have a lot to learn, and I do really like that. It's a minor thing, but it's something that I really appreciate. So yeah, so then there's the entire fight sequences with the other characters, which I do really like. And I don't want to dwell on it too much because I think we do have to move on. But I do like how Katsuki is like, I realized watching him that I wouldn't be able to beat that ice guy in a fight. And he's like completely breaks down.
He's like watching the montage and he's shook. He's like, oh, I'm not all that.
He's figuring things out really quickly.
I have a bunch of notes up to this point of like, All Might's a bad teacher. He's a great guy. He's a great hero. He is a bad teacher. This is the first note where I'm like, no, he's actually making some really good teaching points in here.
Yeah, he's
like while he's breaking down, while they're breaking down the battle analysis and all that. I'm like, no, he's making some good points here.
Yeah, definitely.
There's one other thing we didn't cover.
What is that?
Deku does a stupid and tells Bakugo.
Yeah, so that was an interesting move. And I think it's one of those things where it works. It works as a collective decision. I mean, I don't have a whole lot to say about it.
Deku's a child. He's a child. He does stupid things.
Is he 15? Yes, he's 15 at this point. Yeah.
He's 15. 15-year-olds are idiots.
Yeah. I was never an idiot as 15.
Oh, me neither. Me neither. Never, not me.
I only did the smartest of decisions.
The best decision I made when I was 15 was I met the person who is now my wife, and I locked in.
Not gonna lie, that's a really smart decision that I'm still hoping to achieve.
You'll get there. You'll get there. I believe in you.
Personal issues aside, yeah, no, I mean, again, it's a great scene, but I don't have a whole lot to say about it aside from it impacts a lot later on. Like a butterfly effect.
Yeah. We do see one small visual note. We see already that Bakugo always has his hands in his pockets whenever he's walking.
Well, yeah, but that's just like a thing that animators do for a lot of, I can't even think of the term.
Nah, he's the only one that does it.
Makers.
He's the only one that does it.
No, I mean in general.
He's the only one who, like, other people will, like, walk with one hand, but he walks with both hands. Do you remember why he always walks with his hands in his pockets?
I know it has to do with this quirk, but go ahead and enlighten me.
Nope, it doesn't have to do with his quirk.
All right,
he has the All Might card in there. He always has. They show it in a montage later on, like during season 7, where he's always got his hand in his pocket.
All right, yeah, that's one of those moments where I didn't realize it was a thing until you just told. I mean, I knew he had the card, obviously, but I didn't know that reason.
He always has a hand in that pocket, at least, if not both hands in the pockets.
That's crazy.
Because he's got that card in there.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So next is the USJ arc, which is one...
No, wait. No. The USJ arc is not what's next.
It's not? Wait, hold on. I mean,
no.
What did I write down?
Class representative.
Oh, yeah. That's right. And that's an interesting episode, because I would say that that's the single weakest episode in the entire first season. But not for a lack of trying, because I do see why the episode needs to exist in a bubble, or even like in a hindsight perspective, and it does a really good job at establishing characters like that moment we talked about, and then very last thing I want to talk about the middle episode, because again, not a whole lot to say. I'm convinced that Ida's hero name initially was going to be Emergency Exit, and then the Horikoshi got Cold Feet and then made it into Ingenium in season 2. That's my personal headcanon until it's otherwise proven by Horikoshi, because I am convinced he was setting that up. So now is the USJ arc, and there's both a lot and a little to say, for me anyways. But yeah, the first thing is I love they make the joke of like, oh yeah, this stands for Universal Studios Japan, but it looks like a theme park, and that is 100% intentional. I know that, but it works. It worked because No.
Okay, so you were talking about how there's a lot of side characters that are just kind of there and don't have personalities. I would say at this point is where I start to disagree with that, because we're seeing them interact more and more, especially on the bus scene. You've got the open layout, everybody's kind of talking to everybody kind of thing.
Sure. No,
so the personalities are starting to come out a little bit more. Like, we're not getting everybody fully fleshed out, but we're getting introductions like Kirishima. We see his power. You see he's kind of an upbeat guy. We see Irozu like being very prim proper. It's like, oh, these people are disgusting. And Uraraka's just there for the S's and G's.
Yeah. I mean, you got to start building them at some point, because like if you introduce this an ensemble cast, but yeah, that's the first moment where they start to become really relevant. Granted, it's not a whole lot, but because again, I didn't.
But you got to plant the seeds.
That is true. That's very true. So I did like that, and yeah, just a majority of the USJ arc is really well done.
So 13, I don't know if you remember this or not, but 13 basically does a different words but same message version of with great power comes great responsibility.
Like my quirk can easily be used to kill.
My quirk can kill people, but I have to be careful with it. So great power comes great responsibility. I'm like, that's not the quote, you know it. Again, I gotta touch on Uraraka's character, because she gets excited about 13 in a similar way that Deku does for All Might, which is really cool to see, because like so far we've seen everybody like get most visibly excited when All Might's on there, but here we see Uraraka stand out a little bit more, where she's like, hey, this is my favorite hero. I love this lady. I'm excited. Like this is why I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
Like, not exactly in that capacity, but like you get that energy where it's like, unlike everybody else who's just like, ooh, it's All Might, and it kind of begins and ends there. She's like, I love this one.
Oh yeah, because everyone has their favorite. Everyone has a favorite hero, and it's not. I mean, All Might's objectively the best hero. I mean, he's literally at the top of the leaderboards. But I do like that little bit of detail, how there's like everyone has a favorite.
I thought, and I'm going to touch on All Might for a second here. I thought going into the show, because like again, I didn't know anything about him. I thought he was going to be like a Homelander type. I thought he was going to be like, I thought he was like, everybody thinks he's this great, like awesome person, and he's just going to be awful.
Yeah, I can see.
And
that.
I was so happy to be wrong. I was like, I love this character.
But no, that's an interesting point, because I can definitely see a angle with him being like this secretly awful person, but I'm really glad that they didn't. And I think now is a good better time than any. Well, actually, let me wait until we get to like the Nomu fake, because I want to talk about the other things.
Yeah.
Before getting to that. But...
So as a visual, so as someone who's into cinematography in particular, I wanted to get your take on this portion in particular, like when the villains start emerging.
Yeah.
Like from the portal, like, so there's two things that really stood out to me as very unsettling. Is the music. Yuki Hayashi is killing it again.
Peak
like
track.
The music is awesome. Music is awesome. That guy does not miss. Yeah. He's like, I think I put it in my notes that he's like the John Williams of anime.
I would not disagree with you there.
And the visual of them stepping out of the dark when it's supposed to be broad daylight is just like, in a subconscious level, that is super unsettling.
I do like a
like
majority
like their appearances aside, like their horrifying appearances aside, that is just wrong on some level.
Yeah, I do like Shigaraki's appearance, and I like Nobu's appearance. So yeah, from a cinematic perspective, it is really well done. The one thing that I have an issue with is that overhead shot where it's like zoomed out, and I get that it's to show that they have like a lot of people, but it doesn't land nearly as good. I'm not saying it's a bad shot. It's a very well done shot.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work to that capacity, in my opinion.
I think it's meant to be a perspective shift. Like, what are the heroes seeing right now?
Sure. And then, like, you get more of Aizawa being the best in that entire scene, like him taking down.
Oh, that's how we kick off next episode. That's how we kick off the next episode.
Yeah, I know. Which means segue to.
So I'm gonna kick this up to slightly PG-13 here for a second, because my note is that Aizawa is the baddest of asses in this entire season.
You're not wrong.
Like, I'm sorry. Cool. Like, All Might's fight is great. We'll get to All Might's fight here in a second.
Oh, yeah.
But Aizawa is killing it.
You really are so cool, Eraserhead.
Oh my god! Like, even the bad guy has to be like, "Nah, this guy's awesome."
Yeah, he's like, screw you, flip you. You're cool. I'll see the rest of you later. You really are so cool.
So to Shigaraki's comment, real quick, my note, I remember, they mirror Deku and Shigaraki very well from very early on.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Because Shigaraki. So here's my note on this. Shigaraki mirrors Deku in his analytical thinking against the heroes, though he possesses somewhat unwarranted confidence. Now, it's interesting because if you go back and listen to it, the comments that he's making about Aizawa and the way that he's moving and fighting are almost exactly what Deku's saying from the other side of it.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
It's like the wording is slightly different, but like beat for beat, it's the same analysis.
Yeah, and I do like how they split up all of the students for two reasons. One, there's that entire scene with Deku and Froppy, I almost forgot her name there for a second, and Mineta.
Yep.
But then you like have all of the other students, which on the one hand is a detriment because you don't get to see them a whole lot, but on the other hand, it's better to not show them than to have this entire ensemble deal with villains when it will be very difficult to coordinate that. So I do, from a storytelling perspective, I do really like that.
So real quick, I want to touch on Asui, because this was the note that I had about her. It's like, she's the first student who tells it like it is, without any pontifications about potential future hopes and dreams type speech. She's there, she's in it for the love of the game, and she's going to tell us how she sees it. She's not grandstanding any ambitions, like kind of like Bakugo and to some degree Deku and later on Todoroki and all that. She's just like, no, I'm here. I'm going to show up. This is what's happening. Yep. Yeah, she's the real one.
She's like, I know that I'm kind of like a mid-hero, but I'm perfectly fine being a mid-hero. But she's great. She's great.
Yep.
And and then the rest of the students, bluntly, they don't matter. Like, aside from like the heroes who are with...
They don't matter in this moment.
Oh yeah, another thing I want to throw out there, Kurogiri, great introduction. He's a great kind of like...
Great voice for Kurogiri.
Yeah, because he has this... He's a mysterious character. It's like, is he a guy? Is he a shadow? Is he the mouth of Sauron?
What is this?
What is this? Yeah, and so he's just really done. And then I think it leads to one of my favorite, ironically funny lines in the series, where you see this giant shadow of a man and you have no idea what he is. He's just about to kill your teacher, and with this super deep, intimidating voice, says, "We are the League of Villains." I'm sorry, and I know that the point is to be cliche, but it's like,
did Shigaraki make him say that? He's like, no. We're gonna show up, and this is gonna be the lines that we're gonna drop when we get up in their faces.
Like one of them saying, like, the League of, really? Out of all the names that you chose, that's the one you want to go with?
Well, the doctor later on, he's like, well, at least we only failed under that stupid League of Villains names.
I love Kurogiri, and the League of Villains is a name that grows on you, but I remember, like, even as a 15-year-old, hearing that and saying, like, that's the single most stupid name for a group that you can have in this world.
It works because it plays into Shigaraki being an absolute tryhard.
He is a tryhard, and I do love... Yeah, so, but then, okay, so that's the rapid fire of that. And I love how he does show his power, like, over and by almost killing 13. And then how... And I do love Ida's little moment of him being able to, like, get away so he can warn all the teachers. But one last rapid fire. Mineta, Deku, and Froppy's moment with the villains is just well done. And again, that's where I got why does Mineta get so much characterization here? Why did he have to be stuck with Mineta?
Right. So I actually had a note on that scene also. This is a formative moment for Deku that leaves such an imprint that it shows up during his final battle with Shigaraki.
Yeah.
Like when their quirk factors are like going head to head and they're like in each other's minds. One of the first memories that's going by is Sue saying, "Looks like we passed the shipwreck zone."
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember. Yeah, that's interesting. I forgot about that.
And I wanted to touch on a cutaway. Real quick where we see All Might like trying to figure out like, all right, I think I can time this right where I show up and get some good time with my hero form. And Nezu shows up and is like, no. And this is why I wanted to touch on him real quick, was because Nezu provides a new perspective on All Might as someone who knew him when he was a lot younger, making him the only person who can claim some kind of authority over the seemingly indomitable man.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, All Might like so far is like towered above everybody, like in stature and in power. Like Aizawa's kind of the first one we see like kind of put him on the back foot a little bit, but Nezu just like comes in and psychologically dismantles him like within a minute of walking in the room. Yeah. And it's really funny to watch.
Yeah, no, that's true. And it's just, and then what? A couple more things before we get to All Might versus everyone else. And I do want to throw these out there. One, there was a lot more. This is a negative, unfortunately, for season 1, but there was a lot more fan service than I remembered. And granted, it's not a whole lot when you compare it to other shonen anime. But there was still, like, there's that entire scene in episode 1 with Mount Lady, which isn't the worst thing in the world. I remember it being worse, but it ultimately isn't. And then the entire thing with honestly, like, I don't know if I'm desensitized or what have you, but I just laughed at that because it was so stupid. But I'm like, no, yeah, in this kind of world, that would absolutely be how that works. Like all of the things with Mineta and I'm not gonna.
Yeah, Mineta, she should not. Yeah, I don't.
And then with what's her name, Momo Yarirozu, with her like costume becoming. And I was like thinking, like, I don't remember there being. Granted, compared to shonen manga anime, that is very, very tame. But even then, I don't remember nearly as much. But yeah, and then two more things. One, I found it funny how, and this was kind of the point of the entire section, but the only ones who reappear later on from this entire USJ section, villain-wise, is Shigaraki and Kurogiri. Every other villain is kind of like, even Nomu himself, like we see other Nomus, but this specific Nomu is essentially gone.
So here's what I had on that, is that like Aizawa is like has been going for like 2 episodes at this point, like throwing hands left and right.
Yeah.
So he's like, we see like he's not to mess with, which actually is a really good setup for how, despite Shigaraki like kind of being like a little creepy, like a little creeper brat on the side, when he gets involved and he's like almost kills Aizawa like right off the bat. It's like, oh, okay, no, he's... Yeah, we don't want to mess with that. We don't want to mess with that. And then he follows up with the line. It's like, oh, by the way, I'm not the final boss. And then, like, I was not sure if Nomu was, like, gonna kill Aizawa.
Yeah. And also, I legitimately was like... That was crazy. That was a crazy way to...
Honestly, I was like, I could have gone either way. I was like, are they gonna kill him? Yeah. Like, I feel like they could kill him right here. We gotta touch one more thing because this becomes important, especially in later seasons. We see that Kirishima and Bakugo are starting to be bros here.
Oh yeah, that's right. We do see that because they were the only ones who stayed behind. Or no, they weren't. They didn't stay behind. They were teleported away, together, and then they met up with.
Yep.
That's right.
And again, as an artist, there's another thing I need to point out. Kirishima's quirk animation is very different in this season than it is even in season 2.
I'll have to.
It's a lot blockier. It's a lot blockier. It looks like halfway into Minecraft type.
Because I mean, I like animation, but I'm not an animator, so I'll have to go and like.
Fair enough. And then again, I got to keep singing Uraraka's praises because she's the one that figures out that Kurogiri has a physical body.
Yeah.
Like Bakugo also figured it out, but they're separate from one another. They didn't have time to exchange that information. She figured it out, and she used that to her advantage.
Yeah. No. Again, she's a great character.
Got him. Yeet.
She gets significantly more character development and even more like tactical development later on, which we will talk about down the line. But
of course,
she's probably one of my favorite female characters in Shonen, which granted is not a very high bar. Let's be blunt, but it still exists.
Yeah. And then closing note for that episode is in all caps. All Might is pissed.
Oh yeah. And that's even called out by Deku in the next episode. Like, he's not smiling, which is like...
He's not smiling.
If there's, like, one character who's known for a smile...
Which is, like, the first time you don't see him smiling in his hero form.
Yeah, no, exactly. And
like, dude, the line work on that is just, like, you can feel the fury coming off of this guy.
I wrote that down, too. Like, not for that line, but just for the voice work in general. Voice acting is really peak here. And...
Oh, yeah.
And then, so now we move on to the main event, which is, as we know, All Might versus, well, the villains in general from the USJ, because, like, he kind of just takes them out easily, but mainly versus Nomu, which is really... Does anything need... Well, I could say, does anything need to be said?
Okay, no, there's some stuff there's some stuff that needs to be said here. So, even before we get to, like, the big, like, Yusei run, which is the first time you hear Yusei run fully uninterrupted throughout the series.
Yeah, that's true.
Fully uninterrupted. Leading up to that, All Might being physically harmed, like weak spot notwithstanding, that raises the stakes for all of this.
Yeah.
Because like he's the hero who so far he shows up and everything's fine. He shows up, he punches a guy, and everything's fine.
I mean, you see that him.
He shows up, he's not smiling, and he gets hurt.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So thematically, like this is very unsettling for the narrative. Not to mention the characters that are in the moment. But so we do have the future big 3 coming in clutch here also. And, you know, Kirishima's there too, which, not to discredit Kirishima. I love Kirishima. He's one of my favorite side characters. Like, I love the development he gets in later seasons.
He's fine.
But they all show up and they bail All Might out.
Yeah, that's fair. And I do love, this is kind of like a hindsight kind of thing now that we have the entire series collectively. But when he's basically almost torn in half by Nomu there, you could interpret that as like the horribly gruesome death that Night Eye foresaw. Like, arguably, the single moment was with All for One in Season 8, which I keep saying this, but we'll get to that. But that could also be interpreted as like happening so many times throughout the series proper, most notably here, which I find really, really fascinating. Because it reminds me of like almost like Fire Emblem Awakening, where Lucina basically averts one disaster, but then it basically ultimately course corrects. You can see that here is like, oh yeah, it could have happened here, but it course corrected. Oh hey, but then it happened here, because I know it happens like another time with All Might. I can't remember the circumstances. I'll probably remember when I rewatch it. But then it doesn't happen. Then it course corrects finally to All for One.
When he fought All for One in Camino, that's when he thought, okay, maybe this is what Night Eye saw.
Yeah, so I really think that's in hindsight, I think that's a fascinating way to look at Night Eye's prediction. But
yeah, that's a good way to look at it. So what was I gonna say?
No, it's fine. Take your time.
I'll get to I'll get to a funnier note in a minute. But so again, as the artist. There is some dated animation in this.
Oh yeah?
It's very brief. It's very brief because for the most part, like one of the notes I put in here is like even to this day, this still holds up as one of the best fights in the series.
Sure. Oh yeah, most definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah. But there's a moment where where All Might's kind of spinning in midair and he catches the Nomu, whirls him around himself a couple of times and throws him down. He looks real weird, and the frame rate is definitely reduced there. And I'm like, I don't know if they were run out of budget or what happened there, but I was like, I'm glad that it's only for a couple of seconds, because it did not look good.
Sure.
It's like, I'm like, I don't want to say it, but it did not look good.
I'll have to go back and rewatch that. But now that we've finally gone to this, I have to say, well, one I just wrote down here, you already stated it, but All Might versus Nomu is still one of the most hype fights in this series. But this
I'll go watch it. I need motivation to do something.
Exactly. Absolute cinema. But I will say this, and you kind of see this throughout the entirety of season 1, but it really, really comes to a head here. And somebody did like an entire 20-minute video essay on this. I'll send a link to you, and I'll probably put a link to it in the description because I do think it's very relevant. But All Might is one of the best versions of Superman. And the reason I say
yes, I've seen that.
Yeah, the reason I say that is because like when people talk about Superman, one of the things they talk about is his power specifically. And that's fine. It is what Superman's known for, let's be blunt. But he's also very focused on heroism. I haven't read a whole lot of the comics, but I have read enough to know that he is a very heroism-focused hero. And every other like All Might kind of like, not All Might, Superman duplicate, for lack of a better phrase, in other media, they focus a lot on the power. But All Might, while he is powerful, he has weaknesses. We see that very clearly. Like he's injured. He's like I only have a minute left in this form, and we see that he is the most heroic version of Superman that is not actually Superman. And I think that's one of the reasons he's one of my favorite heroes, because he's everything I love in a hero like Superman, where he's like super heroic, but he also has like a writer's best friend in the terms of like he's not a all-powerful god, and he actually has these limitations. He has these restrictions. I mean, yes, in his prime he might not have, but now when we see him, here's his biggest flaws. And I think that's why All Might is easily one of my top 3 favorite superheroes, period.
I think it's very interesting to me that not in the manga, not in the anime, not in any of the source material have we actually seen All Might in his prime.
Yes and no.
We have never seen him in the peak of his power.
I would say that
because we see him when he's young, when he's in college. He wasn't at his strongest there. He was getting stronger. Remember, he had One for All for 40 years.
Yeah, that's true.
And he was getting stronger for 35 of those years.
No, we never do see that. I mean, I guess the closest thing is like the video.
If you really want to split hairs, we have one shot of him like kneeling in front of the dead All for One, but like his guts are halfway out.
Yeah.
So he's obviously not really in his peak there.
True.
But we actually do not have any.
Oh wait, no,
images.
We do.
Footage. Where's that?
It's kind of in his prime, not really. Because it's 5 years before My Hero Academia happens. But we do see him a lot in Vigilantes, and you could argue
he's already injured there.
Wait, is he?
He's already injured there. He's already spitting the blood and everything.
5 years, yeah. Okay, no, I stand corrected. That's right.
Right. He like in Vigilantes, he would have just like recovered. He would have just returned to hero work.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that, but that's a good point. Yeah, we haven't seen him at his peak of power. That's an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, which I'm just like, I would like if we never get to see that, all well and good. Like I'm fine with like having the idea to entertain of it. But if we're gonna get like another My Hero Academia movie, I would love to see All Might hunting down All for One and have that fight.
Sure, that would be
because I would love to see All Might in the like prime peak magnitude of his supreme power.
Yeah, no, that would be awesome if we got that. And then you've been saying things as a artist / animator. But I have to say this as an editor. I wrote this down. There is a lot of great editing cuts in not only this fight, but in first season period. There's like a lot of great edits just in general. And I think that with the Nomu fight is so good. And I think we've said as much as we can to say about that. And we do get that entire bit with like Shigaraki and Kurogiri basically. The cavalry comes, the teachers come, and he gets shot in the arms and legs 4 times.
So my closing note for episode 12 was that All Might both succeeds and fails his roll for intimidation.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we see that in like leading into the next episode where he's like trying like his best to like I roll for intimidation, and he's like rolls like a 19 or something, and the DM's like, yeah, but
no, he doesn't roll at a 19. He rolls it's on the corner.
It's on the corner.
The die is on the corner.
Oh no. And then he has to re-roll, and then the DM's like, okay, but
and then someone else shoots the die while he's making the roll.
He was like, but I really want to have a good ending. I brought the teachers in for the cavalry, so you kind of intimidate them, but they still advance in general.
Yeah. So, Interesting thing about episode 13, we actually we touch a little bit on it in episode 12, but we see Kaminari, Jiro, and Yaoyorozu. They get further character development.
They do.
We get to see a little bit of. We get to see a little. Like I was like going back and watching. I'm like, no, you know what? Kaminari's actually kind of cool at the beginning there.
Yeah, no, he's great. And then...
he's funny. He's definitely there for comic relief. And Jiro's sassy as all get out.
Oh yeah,
Jiro's sassy as all get out.
And she's even like, why are you
She's
even like
fun.
being a villain?
I
You're
love
like,
that line
totally...
where Yaoyorozu's just. I love that line where Yaoyorozu like kind of objects to her just like chucking Kaminari like at the villain. She's like, you know, you're lucky that worked out so well. And Jiro's just like, oh, I'm sorry. I'll ask permission before I save our lives next time.
Yeah. It's a small moment, but yeah, it's good because you have to have like a handful of moments like that for an ensemble cast. Like, yeah, you're building them out, but you can only do it like a handful of moments at a time.
Yeah. So what I wanted to touch on from a narrative point, which was really interesting to me, is that the electric villain actually manages to be kind of intimidating in his own way, which is really hard to do given what we just saw with All Might and Nomu.
Yeah.
And he does it on a more psychological level because he's telling the two girls, he's like, let's play a game.
Do you want to play a game?
Want to play a game?
Do you want to play? Well, no, I'm kind of surprised that he never even came back because he would have been like, he's gotten like literally no character aside from that. But I would have loved to see more of him, which we never.
I thought he would have showed up like maybe as one of like the escapees or something, but in season 6 and 7. But
we don't. But that's a good.
That's okay.
Right there. But then kind of circling back to the ending of or not even the ending, I guess the beginning of that episode because I forgot. With the running with the teachers coming and then Shigaraki and Kurogiri getting away.
Before that even, real quick, Shigaraki becomes substantially less scary because he is just throwing a tantrum.
Oh yeah, that's the entire.
Right, like
point.
he's been pretty. Well, I know that's the entire point, but like he has been like fairly frightening up to this point, and now it's just like, dude, I can't take you seriously. You are a literal toddler.
And he is. He's kind of the worst. He's a tool, but he's a tool that fulfills the purpose that was given to him, which is, and this is one of the great things, we haven't really mentioned this, but this show does an excellent job at showing not only Deku's growth from like this nobody into the greatest hero, but Shigaraki from this nobody into the greatest villain.
The greatest villain of their time.
It's a great contrast, and we don't see a whole lot, if any shows really do that. Like we see, there's All For One, he exists, and he's like the big bad. Which, on a side note, is a great little miniature introduction. Which, it's kind of like the cliche, talking to a guy in like the behind the screen, like Moriarty and Sherlock. But it's still. But we
get a man-child throwing a tantrum to, I can sink this country because I can.
Yeah, no, it's a very great contrast because we do get more of that, and I love that. That's one of my favorite things about this show. How we see like the villain go on his own journey just as much as the hero, which is, again, you don't see that a whole lot in today's media.
Yeah, you don't see that dichotomy happening a whole lot. There was a semblance of poetry that happened in this season that I didn't realize until I had watched the whole thing through. And that is that Deku begins and ends his hero arc of season 1 by saving All Might.
Oh.
The first time he does it intellectually, he prompts All Might into action and reminds All Might what it is to be a hero.
Yeah.
And this time he saves him physically.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But both times where his body moves before he can really think about it, he saves Bakugo in the first one, like that was his primary goal. But the fallout, for lack of a better term, on both instances is that he saved All Might.
Sure. And this isn't technically like us going back, but I do want to throw it out since we are talking about Shigaraki. We do yes, he's a man-child and he's the worst, but one of my favorite moments in like the previous episodes is where he shows his decay quirk with Aizawa's elbow.
Yeah.
And then
like destroying Aizawa's arm.
Like he almost touches Asui's face. Like you see Deku like literally white out.
That was a great sequence.
We almost forgot to talk about that, but that's like one of the best villain moments that he has in this entire season. Which granted he's only there for 3 or 4 episodes.
This hurt.
But it's so good. Like say
Eric
he's a tool.
Vale,
he sucks.
Killing it.
But he does the job. He does the job. But anyways, going back to the end of that, I really don't have a whole lot else to talk about because the episode kind of ends with, them like getting, like they save All Might's identity, which is fine.
Yeah.
I don't have a whole lot to say about that. It's kind of like a given. If it's
I have a few things.
Sure.
So I have a few things that I wanted to cover. So, I should have touched on this earlier, but Hagakure and Aoyama were the only missing students in this, right?
Yeah.
They were the only students who were missing in all this, right?
Sure.
Given who, like, again, spoiler alert, traitor is Aoyama. I thought it was Hagakure for a long time because not only is she missing, not only is like, it's like she's like, yeah, I was in the landslide zone with Todoroki, and he's just like, I didn't even know she was there, which, haha, it's the invisible girl joke, right? But on the other hand, it's like, okay, but was she there?
Was she?
Right? Was she? And there's another point that could have made her the traitor, was that during the day when the media broke on a campus, she wasn't in class. The day, yeah. She wasn't in class.
Yeah,
she was absent. So on the closing scene, where they're talking about how Deku was the one who got taken away, you kind of see Bakugo kind of thinking about the conversation that he had with Deku, about Deku having a quirk from someone else.
Yeah.
And like, he said like, shut up, you're an idiot, I don't believe you.
Shut up.
But you see that it's sticking with it. You see that it's sticking with him.
Yeah, because say what you will about Bakugo, but like we kind of mentioned this, but like it's not really shown so much in season 1, but we do see later on that he is a very intelligent person.
Oh, he's not stupid.
No, that's one way to phrase it.
Like, he's not stupid.
Yeah.
Like, even during the opening exam, like, Nezu talks about how, like, well, some people play to this strength, and other people play to this strength, and other people play to this strength. But the best ones combine all these assets, and it's showing Bakugo while he's saying that.
So I have a couple final thoughts for this season.
Yeah.
I think that this is one of the single most well put together seasons in the entire show. And the reason I say that is because nothing is wasted. Like, everything, the time that the episodes take, use it tremendously well. Like, and part of that's the pacing, but like every episode doesn't dwell on things too long, but it doesn't dwell on things too little. The weakest episode is the one with the media and
I was about to say, we touch on the weakest.
If that's the weakest episode in the entire season, then you're doing something phenomenally right. Because that's one of my problems with later on My Hero, which again, my motto for this episode, we'll get to later. But yeah, it doesn't really use the time later on super well. Like, whether that's like fight scenes being too long or spanning multiple episodes, or characters either not having a whole lot of development or having too much development. This is probably the one season that I can say is objectively as perfect as it can be in terms of how it uses its screen time.
Okay. All right. I'll have to see. We'll have to see if that holds as we continue to watch through it. There's like just in terms of preliminary, season 4 for me is one of the strongest and weakest seasons of the entire show.
It's been a while. I mean, I'm watching through collectively, but I'm trying to remember what season 4 was.
Season 4 is the Shie Hasaikai arc in the first half.
Yeah, you're right. That's a great season.
But then the second half is the UA Sports. Is not the Sports Festival. Is the UA Culture Festival.
Oh my word. We'll get.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Is that the motto for this series?
That's
we'll get
my
to
motto
that
at this point, because I'm trying to keep us
motto
on
for the
track. Because I know that we have the context. We have discussions every so often.
We
have a
derail
tendency to
so
go.
bad.
So yeah, I'm trying to be the one who's like, we'll get to that.
I think the longest derailing you did on one of my podcasts, I think we went for like 30 minutes on like an abridged series tangent.
Oh my gosh. Oh my word. Well.
So try not to do that.
Any final thoughts before?
I have something that I know is going to make you very jealous. That's signed by the entire cast of that's signed by the big three of Vigilantes.
Word. That's awesome.
Yep. It's got Knuckle Duster, it's got the Crawler, it's got Pop Step.
Do I even have? Because I have a lot of artwork, but I don't think I have anything. I don't. See, I've been meaning to go to more conventions, and I have the opportunity. I live in LA, there's conventions left and right. I just haven't.
You got like the biggest conventions out there.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I need to go visit them more. Like Anime Con's coming up in July. I need to go visit that. But I just need to like go and get like a My Hero, because like I have like so many art pieces, but like none of them are from.
So I've got that one, which I've got that one which I did not print, but then I've got this one here. I've got this one here of Eri, which I'm sure you could put up in post.
That's one of my favorite pieces that you've done.
Yeah, I got that signed by Emily Nevis, who I hope I'm saying her name right. Very sweet lady. She voices Eri. And for context, I kind of did like, what if Aerie had gotten one for all, and she's like a little bit older in this picture. But
It's
I'm
a
like,
great section of his story,
it was
but
like,
it takes a long time to get to. It's like One Piece.
fair enough, fair enough. My story is not as long as One Piece. How dare you?
Collectively, no, but it has the same feeling.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It is a long story, so it does take a while to get some places. But yeah, like even. Like, I try not to be like, yeah, I did great on this artwork, but this is like one of those few pieces where I looked at it when it was done and I was like, nah, this is cool. This is a cool piece. I like this.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a good
I
piece.
like that I did this.
Well,
Yeah.
again, I think we're going to have to wrap it up there. That's our thoughts about season 1.
Season 1.
Great season. Off to a great bang. I mean, again, when this show came out, everyone loved it for good reason. It still holds up to this day.
Yeah.
And
I think it's absolutely crazy. Like, my closing thought is that they knew they were going to get a second season, but they were only going to get like 12 or 13 episodes a season. But because it did so dang well, they're like, nah, we can do 25 episodes. And then the following season, 25 episodes in a movie. And then they kept doing that because it was that good.
They kept cooking, and they had some ups and some downs. What's my motto? But we'll
get there.
I'm excited to continue this podcast, and I'm excited to see to rewatch this entire series because I remember a lot of it, but I've forgotten a lot as well. So I'm excited to re-experience that.
Alrighty, so I guess we'll go ahead and catch everybody on the next one of what are we calling this again? We're the next episode of Our Hero Academia.
As of now, yeah, this is Our Hero Academia. If you,
all right. If we come up with something better, then we'll bleep these out. But
yeah.
That's what it is right
Our
now.
Hero Academia : Final Exam. I don't know. Okay.
Alrighty. Well, this has been fun. This has been quite fun, and we'll call it there. And
we'll see you the next time.
I don't know how long this is going to take. Yeah, we'll see you next time. Take care, guys.